Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another exciting podcast interview. On today's show, we have Lisa Jenner. She is the managing partner at Dealer Alchemist, and today we're going to shake the tree. We're going to challenge the prioritization of digital budgets in a new way. So, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here again, Brian.
Well, Lisa, I always enjoy talking with you because I started my branding of our agency and over the years as being a dealer advocate, you share that moniker along with some others like George Nenny from Generations Digital, folks that are trying to educate dealers, not make decisions for them in a vacuum, but showing them why. And today, we're going to talk about a really powerful subject, and this is the budget area allocated for SEO and paid search and how they're related. Your company does audits of dealers who are considering coming to work with you. Those audits reveal a lot of insights. But today we want to focus on this areas, content SEO versus technical SEO. And you found that there's so much hype, maybe money grab on content SEO, yet probably the most immediate results are technical SEO, and 9 out of 10 dealers still don't have it right. Lisa, did I set that up right? Are you just frustrated that the technical SEO investments just are not there and they should be first before the content?
Yes. And what I've seen is that technical SEO is really the foundation of your digital advertising and your conversion inside of that funnel. And so when you fix technical SEO, you're fixing the foundation of what Google's going to crawl, how they're going to read your site, and it can even lower your CPC down the road.
So when we talk about technical SEO, I'm gonna put a couple buckets, and then we're gonna peel back and go into each one. So we have the website itself, which we might say the page schema, the metadata, the time it takes to load. We're going to put that in on page or website structures. We have third-party directories and directory service and directory data providers. And then the big daddy, the big daddy, Google My Business, now the Google Business Profile. Would you say those are the three pillars of your view of technical SEO?
Yes, I think, as a foundation inside of just dealer websites, the point of digital retailing and conversion, we know that in our industry, our websites are mass templated. And so when that code is carried over, how do you know as a dealer, or who do you appoint that's responsible for ensuring that the meta schema and the coding inside your website is pointed to the right direction and tells Google that you're an expert in your field? I was just doing an audit inside of this particular topic for a dealer the other day, and his code said 2020 Consumer Satisfaction Award-winning dealership, where the pros work. So there was no focus on automotive retail terms. So Google can't tell if that's what this business is about. And that's where it really needs to start. And you want to carry those meta title tags through to not only on your homepage, but also your SRPs and also your service pages.
And, one of the other things that I've seen over the years, and they've gotten better, I'd have to say, is that these templated page title, page descriptions really aren't as dynamic as they should be, resulting in duplicate page titles, duplicate descriptions, and I just call that lazy technical SEO, when every page on a website typically now can have the metadata updated. But one of the other things that people have misunderstood are all the places that point to or link to the dealer's website, whether it's their social media pages, their directory listings. And you and I were talking about maybe the lost friend that dealers didn't realize is still important, Foursquare. Why is Foursquare as a company, not as a social media platform, important?
Well, Foursquare is important where dealers have, we know there's hundreds of directories and citations. And the analogy that I like to use in this space is the yellow pages. I'm old enough to remember the yellow pages hitting our front door and being a little intrigued about it. And with just how information was contained inside this book. And so there is like an online yellow pages for our businesses and for dealerships. What I think the best thing to know is that Google wants the formatting to be all the same. So instead of saying IH10 and Interstate 10, it needs to be formatted the exact same. So inside of these different types of yellow pages, you're going to have Google, you're going to have Bing, you're going to have Facebook, you're going to have Foursquare. Now we know Foursquare is kind of funny because they tried to be like a Facebook, but they actually pivoted and became a data and software company that now power applications like Microsoft, Samsung, TikTok, Twitter, and really important, Uber. So when I'm looking inside of these audits and I'm looking inside of these directory listings and the citations, a lot of times dealers are not even listed with Foursquare. Or in the case of Facebook, they're listed erroneously under a former or current employee's name. And so getting this formatting straight, making sure that all of your dealership name is listed the same, and making sure that you're registered with a Foursquare is really, really important.
Yeah, Lisa, when you think about all the name changes, acquisitions that are going on, it really is a kind of a breadcrumb trail or a rat's nest, depending what your mindset is, of things you have to undo and change to create local search authority. And let's pause for a minute before we go into Google My Business. Isn't it true that if you have a strong technical SEO strategy where that dealer's website is clearly understood by Google and all of the local directory links, including the Google business profile, are supporting that address, that brand, that location, their services, doesn't that cut down on your need to buy local keywords in Google? Doesn't it? Is the reason why dealers are spending so much money on local search phrases is because no one ever told them how bad their local technical SEO was?
Well, I really saw a shift in strategy when new car inventory started to be pinched, and there was such a hyper focus on spending, allocating budget for paid search and paid social on new vehicles and some for used. But when the biggest shift happened is when new inventory was pinched, and what seemed to happen is that to solve that issue, to be able to, for agencies, generalizing here, right? For agencies to be able to carry the same budget, their pivot was to start spending more money on brand regional location terms. Now, these are terms that tier 1 and tier 2 are already spending on. And what dealers should know is that Google already defines you through your Google business profile page as a local business. So my best analogy is that if I'm looking to buy an electric toothbrush, I'm not going to go search every website, Walgreens and pharmacy website for that toothbrush. I'm going to go look for that product. And so when customers are looking for your product, your Google business profile page is naturally going to pop up. So spending money on your dealership name, unless a competitor is buying your name, or generic brand regional location terms, to me is really a big waste. It's okay to spend a small amount of your budget there just to support your overall strategy. But by fixing your technical SEO, Google is able to crawl your site. You've got everything pointed to follow Google's rules, to appear as an expert in your field. You shouldn't have to spend half or more of your budget on brand regional location terms. For one, it just makes the agency look good. But for two, when you fix these technical SEO components, you can really focus on spending money on your product, which is how we as consumers buy items today.
Well, Lisa, that's really well said. And, I don't hear many people talking about that because maybe they have a vested interest in the more the dealer spends on SEM, the more commission they get, which is very common, right? It's a base plus percentage of spend. But the big daddy of local SEO is their Google business profile, formerly Google My Business. And I'd like to get your feedback. It seems to me, after how much I've written about this for years, I have a book out, George Nenny has a book out, you're teaching on it. I mean, every conference talks about it. I don't know if people are allowing other people to undo changes. Just this month, looking at some dealers didn't even have their franchise dealer name as their primary category. They just had car dealer instead of Toyota dealer. I'm like, what? And I'm wondering, I get probably a dozen requests from strange email addresses to take over GMB listings. And of course, I'm saying no. If it's the owner of the dealership, sure. What's going on, man? It seems like it's so important, but it almost feels like things are getting undone as fast as you're fixing them.
Absolutely. And everybody has access to everything. I think inside of dealerships, the best thing you can do is really appoint somebody who's going to be your point guard and accountability buddy, right? On making sure that they know everything that's happening inside your Google business profile page, which is important. And let's talk about that really quick. In 2016-17, Google outlined the rules that you needed to follow in order to boost ranking for your site. It was a lot about content SEO. But then they shifted their strategy and brought Google business pages forward. It's your new homepage, whether we like it or not. That's how they wanted to do it. And so when that happened, our industry hasn't really shifted forward with it. And so when you fix these components and focus on your technical SEO, it's much more of the fast game to get your site crawled and to improve your ranking. When you understand the importance of that, you want to have somebody that's appointed inside of your dealership that's ensuring that somebody else doesn't have access that shouldn't be, that somebody isn't shifting inside of your website changes to any of your title tags, meta schema, and that they're not shifting changes inside of your Google business profile page. Because those things do seem to happen, whether it's the manufacturer, whether it's somebody that has access that shouldn't. The other component that is a big part of Google's change from last year is site speed. And so making sure you don't have dead pixels from companies that you fired a long time ago that are still grabbing consumer data off of your site. So just make sure you have somebody, whether it's a dealer partner, your agency partner, ask the hard questions and make sure that they're keeping up with these things, for sure.
You bring up old code. The Automotive Standards Council had a meeting recently. It was this week, and the conversation was around how many Google Tag Manager containers sites. And it was very interesting. Some people said 10, 15. There were, I think, 2 people that said that there were over 20 GTMs on a website that they found. And I just want to be very clear. Having multiple Google Tag Managers is inevitable because The OEM may have some code because they're tracking consumer behavior across tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Shift Digital may have a code in a tag manager container that they control. But, I would say 4 or 5 probably max, just because of the world we live in, but not 20, right? So dealers should understand, if code from old vendors or old projects or old technology are sitting in these containers that are sitting on your website, these things slow down page loading and performance. And really getting back to the basics, Lisa, right? Your
Absolutely.
page should be simple. It should load quickly. It should be easily navigable. It shouldn't have 1,200 pop-ups and coupons. And people are getting to the Google My Business listing, and many times before the dealer's website, how are the reviews? How
Right.
is the setup? How are the photos? One of the things, Lisa, I have talked about this in the past. I was wondering why certain Chinese food buffet restaurants were always ranking high in search, and it was because of photos. A lot of times in buffet places, people post photos. It's like, look at all the foods on my plate, or look at all the food. And I'm so surprised how dealers have given up making sure their customers are putting, delivery photos or testimonial videos. Got to remember that Google is run by engineers. These engineers are saying, hey, which local businesses keep their listing up to date? Which local businesses are getting the most reviews? Which local businesses are using the posts? Which local businesses are getting a lot of photo engagement? And well, I don't know if it's just not sexy anymore and everyone's chasing CDPs, but Lisa,
That's what I think.
the basics of technical SEO can't be ignored.
It can't, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I do feel like as an industry, we tend to get distracted by the latest and greatest, whether that technology is new in our industry and otherwise antiquated in other industries. So it's quite fascinating to watch this happen. At the same time, that's why I'm talking about this, because there is so much conversation about CDPs and Chat GPT and AI right now. Those are the hot topics. And I want to bring dealers back to, hey, you're spending money, you're already spending money, you've been spending money. Let's make sure that the foundation of your home is sound and that you are on the fast track, which in my mind, technical SEO is the fast path to having your site crawled successfully. And content SEO is kind of the icing on the cake, right? Let's be able to find your dealership. Let's be able to improve your ranking. Let's be able to lower your cost per click. And then if you want to, do your model comparison pages for somebody that's more high funnel, add that on top. But let's make sure the foundation and getting back to basics is there first. And I think it's a really important time to talk about these things.
Let's talk about Chat GPT. I've read so many different things about content generated from Chat GPT used on websites. Is it going to be a penalty? Isn't going to be a penalty? I've seen SEO tip videos say, well, write it in Chat GPT and then run it through this filter and then run it through this other filter. And I'm scratching my head. I've looked at some of the answers that Chat GPT delivers, and they're well thought out, helpful answers. You can edit them. Where are you believing Chat GPT or other iterative AI tools are going to do for content gen?
I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Chat GPT disrupts that industry, and I'm sure that they are curious about that as well. I think Chat GPT is a really helpful tool, but I also know that there's technology that knows if it's written by Chat GPT. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what's going to happen in this space. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch for sure. I do believe that you should not just rely on it, that you should read it and edit it if you're using it in any capacity. And make sure, I think the biggest component that I like to talk about is what you're saying, how you would converse with a customer, or is it so robotic? Is it so like, I don't know. Is it
Like
so
in a
over the
third
top?
person. Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, that's my brother Glenn. He goes into dealerships and he helps them with their sales process. And he, oftentimes will say to the folks in the BDC, what would you say to somebody if they were here on the lot? So don't change that. Say the same things, and other than get off my lot. But the truth is, we don't really know what the future for content generation is. I will tell you that it can't be a hard rule. Anything touched with Chat GPT is toxic because, well, I mean, think about it. Every dealership website has tons of content that's the same for every model car, because in 2023, all the details are the same, right? But if the information is useful, I'm trying to figure out what that line looks like. Well, only time will tell. Lisa, your company is a full service digital agency, but laser focused on optimizing the dealer's budget, optimizing conversion, prioritizing the first things first, and giving dealers clear, measurable reporting, which is obviously very refreshing for dealers who have worked with agencies that are a little more opaque. If somebody wanted to learn about your services or hire you to audit what they're currently doing to look for opportunity, what's the best website or way that they can get in touch with your team?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are a full service digital agency. What I would add to that is that we are founded by a former dealer operator. My partner, Sean Karen, has worn every hat inside the dealership. And so we are hyper focused on being dealer centric. He treats every account, and our philosophy and culture is to treat every account as if it was our own. And how would we want to eliminate waste? And how would we want to make sure that our budget was hyper focused on our product? So the best way to get a hold of us, and also if anybody out there is listening and wants me to look at your technical SEO components, I'm happy to do that free of charge, just because I want to help educate and help dealers in any way that I possibly can. So you can find our website at www.dealeralchemist.com. And then I'm also on LinkedIn, and my last name is spelled Gener, Lisa Jenner. So those are the best ways to find us today.
Great. And not to be confused as a relative of Bruce Jenner.
No, that's his last name is spelled with a J.
I always like this for audio podcasts. So I
That's
say
very
that
close.
people don't forget it's G.
It's G.
G-E-N. Lisa, thanks so much for your position of advocacy and education. I'm really excited to have you coming to the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference in Austin, Texas, May 21, 22, 23. Dealers need people that they can trust to help guide them through the ever-changing world of digital marketing. And Lisa is one of those thought leaders and trusted advocates, and we appreciate that. If this is the first time you're listening to one of my podcasts, you should know that there are dozens of interviews that have been recorded with thought leaders, disruptors, and change advocates, including our conversation today. And they're all available on the Google Play channel, Apple Podcast channel, SoundCloud, or you can go to brianpash.libsyn.com. That's libsyn.com to see all of the episodes. This is an interview in a series of talks with all the educators that are going to be in Austin, Texas. We do that to get dealers excited about the quality of conversations and quality of content that will be in Austin. So if you haven't registered, go to digitalmarketingstrategies.org. Don't miss this great show. And keep in mind, we added the extra day for GA4 hands-on training. Bring your laptops, bring your technical team out. Let's make sure that your dealership is ready to measure every click, hover, and swipe on your website before Universal Analytics stops working on July 1st. Lisa, if there was one thing you wanted to tell dealers before we ended today's conversation, one thought that you want to lead them with today, what would it be?
Get back to basics and make sure that all of the things that Google is crawling as your foundation inside your baseline is covered and is pointed in the right direction to help your overall strategy.
Come on. I'm going to say double amen to that. Thanks everyone for listening, and I'll catch you next time on another podcast interview.